Hey everyone, Kevin here. For this episode, we're going up to Los Angeles to the Shelter Studios where we're going to interview one of my mentors, Cesar Mejia. He's an Emmy Award winning engineer, mixer, and producer who's worked very closely with Herbie Hancock for over 20 years. He's also worked with other artists such as Pharrell Williams, Marcus Miller, Terrace Martin, Brian Eno, Los Lobos, and many more. He's also a faculty member at Cal State Dominguez Hills and Whittier College, where he teaches audio recording and music production. Let's dive in. All right, Cesar. So it's great to be here.
Oh man, thank you for coming.
Yeah, at the Shelter. One thing that is special to me about this place is as I mentioned before, and reminded you, this is where I took my internship, and I got a lot of my.
Man, it's been so long. I was like, what? Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, a good 14 years. So I learned a lot from you, and that's something I'll always appreciate.
I'm glad you did. Most people don't.
So yeah, this is the first time I've been here in that long. So even just seeing a lot of it's.
It's pretty much the same.
Pretty much the same, but you've upgraded a lot of stuff.
Yeah, there's different gear maybe, but the setup is pretty much the same. I mean, maybe speakers have changed and gear has changed, but I think by the time you came in, that setup, I already did a major, kind of, not reconstruction, but a major reset of the way I worked. Originally, the console was facing that way, and it wasn't much of a console; it was a table. With a mixer on top of it, and then a good friend of mine, Dave Hampton, came over because I wanted to redo the patch bay. I had the patch bay on that side,
It was kind of hard to get to.
And no, I built the patch bay the way I knew how to do it, and it wasn't really done correctly. And I had learned so much just working with guys like Dave Hampton and with Herbie and all these guys, and working at the studios and talking to the techs, and I go, I want to redo this place because I've outgrown the workflow.
You just felt limitations.
Yeah, there was a lot of limitations to it. So I go, you know what? I'm gonna redesign it. And then when I had taken all the gear out, Dave Hampton came and I go, man, I really wish I had a machine room. He saw, and the entrance to the bathroom used to be there for the patch bays. I said, we close that thing up and make the entrance that way, and and then you can have a machine room. I was like, oh yeah, and that it went from a month of a reset up to a year. So it took me a whole year. That took me to redo this place, and we kind of redid the whole. Back then there was all kinds of like that old foam on the wall type thing, and it's what I knew when I got out of school and started.
Just stick foam everywhere.
Yeah, stick foam everywhere, and then I realized, why is it so dead? So
yeah, it's good to have some natural reflections in there. As long as I think you hit some reflection points.
Yeah, I mean, we just kind of reworked the place and. Obviously I started this place in 1999, and 10 years later I had outgrown it. So I was like, okay, it's time to redo the workflow, the whole way. All the patch bay we did ourselves. We were talking about Marco earlier, and he was one of the key guys that helped me rewire everything. I taught him how to do it, and then he kind of was the main guy behind it, and we rewired everything.
Do you keep most of it half normal?
Yeah, most of it's half normal. There's some full normal points, but most of it is half normal. There's non-normal points on there towards the top. There's some non-normal points, some non-normal, but most of it is half normal. Anything that's going in and out of effects is all non-normal because I'm always patching in and out of it anyway. So
I've been using a lot of the switchcraft where you on the front with a screw you can switch them.
Some of these are like that too. They work, but after a while, man, they wear out. But they work.
I'm not switching it all day every day.
Yeah, so but they work. It's a patch bay. Once it
wears out, you just get a new one.
Yeah, I get a new one and change the points out or whatever. So they're great.
So for the audience that isn't familiar yet with some of the artists you've worked at, you've obviously mentioned Herbie Hancock. You've done some stuff with Pharrell and will.i.am. I saw Zach De La Rocha in there.
Yeah. Yep.
And there's, Marcus Miller.
Marcus Miller,
Name some of the other ones you think everyone would recognize.
Los Lobos. The band called Los Lobos.
Does the Dia de los Muertos live?
That, and I've done other work since then. A friend of mine, a director, photographer named Piero Guinti, he's actually directing like a documentary on him. So I've been able to go record him live and done some stuff for the movie, things like that. I'm trying to think of. Man, I always blank out when people ask me, who have you worked for? And I was like, I can't remember.
Well, that's already like an impressive list in itself. And then obviously your movie, you have to get the Cuba.
There's a guy named Fredo Ortiz. Used to be the drummer for the Beastie Boys.
Oh,
who's now
okay.
the drummer for Los Lobos. So
Oh, that's a cool switch.
Yeah, and he used to be in a band called Gogo Bordello for a while. They're awesome band. I think they're not really that popular here in the U.S. They're more, I mean, people know them, but in Europe, they play like huge festivals out there. They're really, really good band. He was playing with them for a while. Fredo just played for everybody, man. He's one of these session players that plays in bands and does session things. He's awesome. We just had a session with him this morning.
Nice.
So,
Yeah, speaking of European festivals, that was my first festival I ever went to by myself was in Sweden.
Oh, man.
In Stockholm, I believe it was. And it was this like industrial metal band called Tungstrom.
Oh, man.
And I was there, and it was in the middle of summer too, so
and
I go to the show, my parents walk me there, and the sun's going down, and then the show happens, and then as I'm leaving, the sun's already up. Because it's like
crazy.
2 a.m, they only get like 4 hours of sun or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm leaving, I'm like, walking home, it's 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. I'm like, it feels like it's like 9 o'clock in the morning to me. Like, how people get used to that. I mean, I know they get used to it, but staying in the U.S. my whole life, it's like there's a whole nother world.
Yeah, when you travel outside the U.S., man, you have a whole different perspective on just life, and then you come back,
Culture,
you're like, and you're like, why are we so backwards? We think we're ahead, but we're not.
Like, man, this is kind of boring now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Last year I went to Italy with my family, and man, they were like, "What? This is like." I go, "That's just the way, like we don't see it because we're kind of,
in a bubble
by ourselves. So like, it's good to travel. We wanted to do this for you guys because maybe one day you guys will be able to travel and travel. Traveling just makes you like such a,
opens your mind.
Yeah, your mind goes from this to this, so it's great. Traveling is cool. You get to see other cultures and the way they do their things, and hopefully it influences you in a good way,
Yeah, not a bad way.
Yeah.
So I will be going to Vietnam, with
that's
David,
cool.
David, the studio owner. I was planning on going in November this year, but it's not going to work. But next year, I can't wait for that.
You're gonna love it.
That's going to be so much fun. He keeps
I'm
telling me.
gonna tell you the same advice Herbie told me when I went to Vietnam. When you cross the street, just keep walking. Because it's gonna feel like they're gonna hit you, but if you stop, they'll hit you. The cars will hit you, so just keep walking. So that's what Herbie told me, and I did that. And the people, there was an American guy who was like a big sound engineer out there, and he worked with all the top producers. And the first time we had to cross the line, I had my backpack with me, and we just walked. He's like, "Oh, have you been here before?" I go, "No, but Herbie Hancock told me to do this," so I just walked. He's like, "Oh,
that's some good advice."
Yeah. So. I don't know if it's still the same. I went there 20 years ago, but I'm sure it is. I'm sure those things haven't changed that much, or maybe they have. At least that part of the culture has it,
Well, he just tells me just buy a one-way ticket because you might not ever want to leave.
Yeah. Well, that guy that I met, that's what he did. He
just stayed there,
and he did it in the 80s. And he goes, when I got my ticket, I had to go to the U.S. Embassy, and they told me if you get stuck and something happens to you, we might not be able to pull you out. So you got to go now. You can. This is a long time ago. So. He went over there and he loved it. He married a Vietnamese woman and never came back.
Eats every day of his life.
He speaks fluent Vietnamese.
Yeah, after being there since the 80s.
So he's like, you would hear him talk, you're like, oh man, what's this American dude, blonde, white American talking like, oh,
perfect
shit.
Vietnamese.
Yeah, like what? Holy crap, this looks crazy, but. Yeah, it's cool. Vietnam, it's an awesome place, man.
So tell us a little bit about when you went to Hanoi and set up their the conservatory.
So I got hired by I guess for lack of a better term is an AV company in Philadelphia. My brother-in-law works for that AV company, and I got a call from him, and he's like, "Hey, do you know how to set up the HD Pro Tools rigs?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "So are you certified?" And I'm like, "No." I go, "Why?" He's like, "Because, well, how'd you learn how to do them?" And I go, "Well, working with Herbie, like he'd buy the gear and he's like, he just figure it out."
He just hands it to you.
He hands it to, we're like, "Oh, and we're figuring out how to
look up the manual."
Yeah,
okay,
look at the manual, and because it's Herbie, we can call like an Avid guy directly, and they would come and show us.
We're trying to set up an Avid S5 board right now, and I told the guy like, I gotta be there while I do it. I can't just read a manual at home and then come there and set up. I have to be hands-on.
You have to be there. Yeah. So anyway, so my brother-in-law goes, "You want to go to Vietnam?" I'm like, "Vietnam?" He's like, "For what?" He's like, "To install a Pro Tools." I go, "Wait a minute. You know how to do those too. Why aren't you going?" He's like, "Ah, man, I already told my boss, I'll die out there," because he's really picky with his food. He's like, "I'm out," and he didn't want to go because of that. I go, "Really? You're not gonna go? Dude, try it." He's like, "Nope." So I go, "I'll do it," and then they go, "Who's going with you?" Like, "You're going by yourself." So I go, "All right." I go, "But I'll do it in one condition, that you fly me to Philadelphia, me and your sister. We're gonna fly to Philadelphia. I'm gonna spend a week with you, getting all the gear together, because I can't just
Go there not knowing if
everything's there or something." I go, "I can't just call like a store down there and get the part. Like, I won't know if I'll be able to do that." So they agreed to do that. So I went to Philadelphia, did the thing, and a month later, I flew to Hanoi, and then I went from the airport to my hotel, and the next morning I had a translator come and pick me up, and they took me to the job site, and I met that American guy there.
Well, that's cool. You had a translator, because I just imagine being there and just not being able to talk to anybody, but at least they give you a translator.
You figure it out, dude. I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Figure it out, dude, right? But yeah, so I went, and the thing is that, so the first 2 days I spent it at the conservatory building the rig, and then on day 3 we went to the studio location where the studio was supposed to be at. And they were still kind of working on the studio, on building some parts of the studio. Then the control room was already made. So they just kind of wanted to put it in place and make sure that it worked, And when we got there, the place was flooded.
Oh, what?
So I go, "So now what?" He's all like,
"Just wait till it dries."
"No," he's all like, "This is going to take 2 weeks for it to dry, dude."
Oh.
I go, "So what do I do now? Am I going back home?" He's like, "No, you can hang out for the next four days." So they took me sightseeing for 4 days.
Oh, that's cool.
I worked for like 3 days, and they would take me to and I was hanging out with these like producers and meeting all these people like from like top levels of government that were part of like a kind of like a music
tribunal.
No, not music tribunal, but they were part of like a musical like what do you call it? Like like kind of like one thing that they were trying to do, because they took me to another building that they were actually constructing, and they wanted to build a library of nothing but like historical Vietnamese music. So they got a library, and everybody can go and check it out. And
it's like their version of a Library of Congress.
But for music. And then they were building a studio, and they were trying to make it like Abbey Road, but they wanted all wireless mics. And I'm like, "Why do you want wireless mics in a studio?" He's like, "That's our thing." And I'm like, "Well, I'll find out, but I don't know if those frequencies. This is 20 years ago." I go, "So I don't know if those frequencies will work out here, because they all work on frequencies. They got to get blocked. But I don't know what frequencies you guys are using." So I had to call Shure, and Shure goes, "Well, we can't guarantee any of them will work. You can buy them, but we can't guarantee anything." Like, that country at the time was so like locked out of everything that, you can try it and see what happens, but there might be overlapping frequencies and they'll get interference. So
not reliable.
Yeah. So eventually, then when about 6 months after I came back, they scheduled a meeting in Vegas. Like, "Can you just come to Vegas and like meet us there?" I'm like, "It's like 4 hours away." He said, "Well, on the map, it looks that far." I go, that's 4 hours away. I go, "So you have to fly me in and then get me a room, because I can't just go and come back on the same unless you give me a flight like that." So I go, "We'll get you a room." And I met with them, and they wanted this crazy digital console that they want. I go, "Will it work?" I go, "It'll work. It's just however you configure." He said, "What about the wireless mics?" I go, "Well, when I talk to them, that conversation hasn't changed. They still say that it's up to you whether you want to buy 32 mics." I go, "I would just recommend to get hardwired mics." So "Yeah, but we like the look of them." I go, "Okay, well then
you're going to deal with a lot of problems at some point that you're going to need to be able to fix them."
So yeah, that was kind of my role. It's just kind of like more an advisory role type thing. And they eventually, I don't know what happened after that. I never kind of like, I think the company that my brother-in-law was working with, those guys, I don't know, that company just turned to something else. So that my connection was to the company, was never them directly. So every time they wanted something, they'd call that company and they'd call me, and they're like, "Hey, can you meet them in Vegas?" Sure, or whatever, So it was like a third party kind of thing,
Triangle, yeah. So it just kind of faded at some point.
Yeah. But it was cool. I mean, I got to see Vietnam, and I mean, it's like, I was like, whoa. And my friends were telling me, "Damn, bro, do you realize you're one of the few guys from East LA that went to Vietnam because they wanted to and not because they had to?" Because there was a neighbor that I grew up with. He was a gunner on a helicopter.
Oh,
And
wow.
he would tell us like, crazy stories. We're like, what? He was an older guy. Obviously, he was older than my brothers, but he was like the older neighborhood guy. So
Yeah, that whole thing is rough.
yeah, it was. I mean, I think when I went there, they looked at me as like, I guess like a typical American, and it was one of the things that was really interesting was that they go, oh, so you're American? Like, where are you from? I go, oh, I'm Mexican. He's like, oh, you were born in Mexico? And I'm like, no, my parents were born in Mexico, but I was born in the U.S. Like, oh, so you're American? And I'm like, yeah, I'm American. I was like, oh shit, I am American. Like, because I never looked at myself that way. I was always like, I'm a child of Mexican parents, so I'm Mexican, but I just said I happen to be born in the U.S. So
Was English your first language or Spanish?
no, Spanish was, and so what ended up happening was that like when I was there, they took me to the Ho Chi Minh Museum, and they have a wing of a B-52 bomber and the uniform of the pilot, and when they were there, I think they were feeling that I was gonna get upset, and they're like, hey, like, hey man, you know what? You defended your country, that's fine. Don't be ashamed of that. You should be proud of that. And a foreign country came and tried to take your stuff, and you defended it. There's nothing wrong with it. Like, oh, we never hear Americans say that. I go, that's the truth. I mean, that's the way I see it. Maybe there's another truth, but that's the way I saw it. Like, when I talk to people that were in Vietnam that were soldiers, they feel that way. They just got dragged into something that was a government trying to do
Beyond
something.
them,
Yeah,
yeah.
they couldn't do anything about it. So like, don't feel bad about it. Like, oh wow. So that was interesting about that. Where it's like, they I think they see us one way, but they don't realize we're so like there's a variety of opinions that we have within.
Well, I think a lot of the world in general kind of looks at Americans
Yeah.
like, like Europeans looking at Americans, oh,
Yeah.
you're
Well,
all basically one way.
Well,
but
it's funny.
so much-
It's funny when I went to Italy last year. We were with a bunch of like there was like New Zealanders, Australians, and I think American. All the Italians say, "Oh, those are all Americans," because we all speak English.
they just bundle you all together.
Yeah, and all the Australians like we're not Yanks.
Yeah.
So it's funny. Anyway,
So, in terms of like also from a standpoint of education and your teaching, of course, that's how I met you
Yeah.
at Cal State Dominguez Hills, and you also do work at Whittier.
Yeah.
So, how would you compare those two programs?
I think Whittier's more of a music technology program where they're musicians learning about technology and how they can use it to either make them better players or make them better songwriters. There's engineering that goes into it, but not as deep as Dominguez. Dominguez we go deep. We tell you like, the different type of patch bay normals, how the patch bay works.
So they don't go into like synthesis and things like that.
We do, but it's more slightly covered. It's not as covered as much because these guys they're
They're more
players. They're
than
players
anything.
that want to learn how to record, or like I want to make my own record. So you have to show them like not just the basics, but a little bit more beyond than just hit record and that's it. So they take a mixing and mastering class as well. They take
But they mostly want to be like just professional recording
yeah,
artists, rather than
or the
engineers.
term producers, so that they learn what that is. They're like, oh, so the producer doesn't have to really be that technical. No,
Well,
they just
I
have to
mean,
understand music.
Yeah, I mean, just
I go because you can hire a good engineer. You know,
you can hire a good engineer.
yeah. So
And I think Rick Rubin is one guy that comes to mind as a producer. He says he has no technical ability at all. He doesn't know how to work a console.
No.
Doesn't know.
He
but
just knows what he hears.
He knows what he likes.
Yeah, and that's it,
Makes
yeah.
good decisions.
I mean, a lot of producers were like that back in the day. Like they didn't. I mean, even Quincy Jones, like he wasn't super technical. He just understood music, and I think he had been around the studio for so long that those
knew
things.
some of the language.
Yeah, he knew some of the language, and he developed some of it, but he never mixed a record. He had engineers mixing the record for him, and he would say, "Hey, I want to fix that and fix this." I mean, it's a story about is it Billie Jean that they did? Yeah, right. Where they did 82 mixes of it.
Oh wow.
82 mixes of it, and the first two, Quincy Jones was involved, and the other 80, it was Michael Jackson and Bruce Swedien, the engineer, and they went through a bunch of them, and when he finally came back,
He chose Quincy's?
No, Quincy Jones goes, "What are you jokers doing?" He's like, "Play mix 2." Boom, that's it. Oh, okay. So they blew all this money on. I mean, it was Michael Jackson.
Well, they also had the budget back
they had the
then.
budget, but Still, imagine 82 mix of a song, and the producer goes, "Nope, it's mix 2."
Yeah.
And that's the one we know.
That would be probably a little demoralizing for the
They're like
mixer.
going, "Oh man."
Well, at least they got paid. But.
Well, I'm sure they were getting
Yeah.
paid, but they were probably, like, look, one thing about when you do things like that, you learn. You're learning things about, oh, why isn't this working? Or, I'm sure at mix 80, 79, they're like, this sounds really different from that.
Yeah, you're kind of getting off the path.
Yeah, they're getting off the path. So you learn that. It's like, there's never like things that you just don't learn. You just, even when you do like records that you feel are not good, you're like, oh, then you learn either not to do those things, or there's a little positive, like, oh, I did this part that I really liked that I did, but man, the rest of it didn't work out at all.
Was it Billie Jean that they would take the keys and just play them back through speakers and mic them up? Because like the synths, they recorded direct in, but they just wanted some air in front of it.
Yeah,
I don't know if it was Billie Jean.
They probably were reamping all kinds of stuff. That's probably why it took 82 mixes.
Yeah, it's just messing around.
Yeah, at that point. So, but producers, good producers don't have to be technical. I mean, I'm working right now with a producer that he's become a really good friend, a guy named Daniel Lozano, and he's worked with like a lot of like big salsa people like Tito Puente and Celia Cruz and all these like big, like heavy hitting like artists, and he's technical, but he knows music.
I think that's a secret weapon.
Yeah, yeah. Like, 'cause he's like, so what do I? Every project ever since I've met him, we've become really good friends. So every project that he does, almost every project, I'm on it. He's like, this is my guy. I need him on here. And, okay, cool.
Well, and then you just you know how you work.
Yeah,
together
we know it's just like we're answering each other's questions at this point. Like
thinking in the same.
Yeah,
wavelength.
we're on the same wavelength. It's like it's all like. I never have to. I mean, sometimes I'll ask him, "Hey, can I change this?" Oh yeah, whatever you think,
But there's just the trust.
Yeah, that's what it is. That we're really good friends, and like there's trust there. Like, so, but he's not. I mean, he's not. He could care less about that. He knows how to do it a little bit, but he goes, I don't want to do that.
He wants to think in the other.
Yeah, I want to think about the musical part of it. Like, you can think about the technical part.
Yeah, that's exactly how a couple of my clients are. Like, they can do technical stuff, but they just want to be in the composing mindset the whole time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll help you too when it comes to making harmonies or figuring out what, modulations.
Yeah, that's how you do it. You're like their, like their shoulder.
Their external hard drive, their external brain.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what you are. Yeah. And you got to be okay with that. I get some students like, well, that just doesn't sound right. Like, I had a conversation with a student. He's like, well, he was trying to understand that. I mean, I'm not, I'm trying to like make it sound bad, but he's like, I don't get that. I don't understand why isn't the guy on the console the guy? I'm like, not necessarily. I mean,
sometimes it is.
I go, some engineers have become producers, and some engineers produce and engineer at the same time. But when it's a serious project, they're gonna have a guy just producing.
Usually for someone from the label.
Yeah. Or whatever, if it's label or the
part of the
client
group.
hires it's like this project that we're on, the client really hired the producer. And there's someone arranging the songs, and the producer talks to him, and then there's me, and then there's the artist, and there's an assistant. And that's it. That's the group. That's the working group right there.
Can go a number of different ways.
Yeah, but it doesn't. It just, like when there's something issue, they tell the producer, what do you think? And he talks to the arranger. He's like, is that note really supposed to be there? Because that harmony sounds a little off. Like, and they're like, yeah, okay, maybe it could be this other note, and they fix it.
Have you ever looked at the app Music Math?
Nah.
That's one that I found from Smart Dewan. We did an interview with. He was Dave Pensado's assistant engineer, who's basically, been under his wing for a number of years.
Right.
So he actually just did he's doing a master for us on one of our songs with one of the Vietnamese bands. But he was telling me he uses this app called Music Math, and it shows there's so many things involved with it, but it'll show you all the specific frequencies and all the partials of different keys. So if the song's in the key of E, he's like, okay, you want to bump your snare up at this specific frequency.
Oh, that's crazy.
So I don't know, it'd be something kind of interesting to get your idea of it.
Music Math.
Take a look.
And it's an app?
It's a phone app, yeah.
Okay, I gotta check it out. Music Math.
Come back next week for part 2 with our interview with Cesar Mejia. If you haven't yet, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. We'll see y'all later.